Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Cool FM Live broadcast of Cochise County Sports. Tonight you got Paul on the call, and we have Douglas Bulldog Baseball as they host Safford, making the trip all the way down from a little northeastern of southeast Arizona. I got some good news and bad news, folks. The good news is the Douglas Bulldogs are up 11-0 going into the bottom of the third inning. The bad news is they had switched the JV and varsity game around for the simple fact that they are having some lighting problems, so they're just making sure that they can get the varsity game in. And anyone that's been paying attention or waiting for this game knows this game was scheduled for 6 p.m., but that's just not going to be the case here tonight. We're going to have a couple innings of good, solid baseball here in Douglas, Arizona, so we finally get a chance to come out and watch the Douglas Bulldogs play. I am Paul Corder, broadcasting live from the Copper Kings Baseball Stadium in Douglas, Arizona, one of my favorite venues in Cochise County, because honestly, the foliage and the outfield and the American flags got the best fence in Cochise County for sure. So we do apologize for the late start here, folks. Unfortunately, out of our control. I came here, my worst nightmare came to fruition. There was a baseball game going on, and it was not JV.
Number 7, Andres Hoyo.
Let me go ahead and get this shared out to all the Douglas. It's just unfortunate, folks. Just unfortunate, but here we are. The Douglas Bulldogs up 11-0 against Safford. Obviously, with the rush job I had setting this up, I did not get the lineups for the Douglas Bulldogs or Safford. Go ahead and bear with me. First pitch is going to be fouled away, 0-1. I do believe they said number 11. All I had to do was listen to the PA announcer. He would have told me exactly who was up to the plate right now. Yep. But this is the only game that this is expected to happen for. Just that we're having trouble with the lights in Douglas, Arizona tonight. And it just happened to be the first game we were able to get out for the Douglas Bulldogs. First game scheduled was rained out. Second game was no-go as a daughter had a dance competition in Phoenix, Arizona. So that is what it is. This number 11, Diego Duarte, up for the Douglas Bulldogs. It is 1-1. This one's going to be ripped into left center field. It's not going to be Duarte, actually. That's number 7, Andres Hoyas. And Hoyas gets this one all the way down to the left center field gap. He's going to make the turn from first to go to second. Looked like he wanted to try to go to third, but stumbles around second base, able to get back, and just a leadoff double. Just a leadoff double for the Douglas Bulldogs. And this is going to bring up Christopher Skarsiga, the freshman, for the Douglas Bulldogs. Very excited to get to see this kid play. One of our mainstays on our high school sports shows live Tuesdays at noon. We're going back to noon, folks. FYI. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining me on Cool FM Live. Don't forget to like this page, the Cool FM Live sports page, where Davies had some problems broadcasting the Benson Valley Union game. Just not a good day. Just not a good day for our sports broadcast today. First pitch in Oscar is going to be outside. 1-0 the count. All right, Paul. It's time for you to focus on the scoreboard as well. I usually get here an hour early. Well, the good thing I did this game. This game's been going on for an hour. We've only got to 3 innings, so I'm happy about that. This one's going to be shot off the hands, but nobody over there. Escarciga is going to get to first base. Now runners at the corners for the Douglas Bulldogs. Nobody out in the bottom of the third inning. That's going to bring up Emiliano Fimbres for the Douglas Bulldogs. I did see earlier today an article. I can't credit whoever made the article, but somebody named Jose Ivan Aguera, or Ivan Aguera. I don't know if he wants Ivan or Ivan. I never asked him. Jose Ivan Aguera as the best all-around athlete in all of Arizona, not just Cochise County, all of Arizona. Fimbres takes a look at that one, ball one. Runners at the corners for the Douglas Bulldogs, who are currently up 11-0 in Douglas, Arizona. Don't hesitate to jump into the chat, folks. Let me know who you're cheering for and where you're cheering from. This one's going to catch. No, it does not. 2-0 the count. That one just misses. What an unfortunate turn of events. I was really It's just something. Every time we try to get out to Douglas, something goes wrong. This is going to be a high fly ball, and this is going to get behind the Douglas dugout. 2-1 now the count to Fimbres. Still a gorgeous day. I could have just left the mics in the car. We would have been fine to broadcast. That's not how we do it. This one's going to be foul tip. Now 2-2 the count. And if you are watching from Safford, Arizona, I do apologize. I have absolutely no idea of the roster of Safford. Get here an hour early, and the game was already 2 innings in. So they did switch up the JV and the varsity game. JV will be going on later tonight. They were making sure they got the varsity game in. As that pitch down misses. 3-2 now the count to Fimbres. The full count. Runners at the corners is going to be in the dirt. Miss. Good block behind the plate. But that's going to be bases loaded for the Douglas Bulldogs.
RJ Rodriguez.
And that's going to bring up RJ Rodriguez for the Douglas Bulldogs. Oh, no, I'm trying to get Safford rosters as well, but just now realizing Max Preps doesn't know that this game is going off. So we're just the Battle of the Bulldogs. We're just going to have to go ahead and get the Douglas Bulldog rosters. That one's high and tight. 1-0 the count. There's always something goes wrong when we come out to Douglas, Arizona. Unless we're broadcasting Lady Basketball, then they go off without a hitch. Speaking of basketballs, that one's inside 2-0. Francio Rubio of Douglas Bulldog, Lord Diego Lopez, Ryan Felix, and many more from the Douglas Bulldogs will be joining us in our high school basketball all-star game, our all-COCHISE all-star game in Benson, Arizona, this Saturday, the 29th, 5:30. The girls go off, 7 p.m./7:30. The boys go off. That one's going to be foul tipped by RJ. 2-1 the count. 1-1 the count. Come on, Paul, get it together. Oh, no, it is 2-1. See, I was right the whole time. You just got to trust yourself, you know. RJ's going to take a big hack at that one, 2-2. He's looking for that grand slam. Cool FM just showed up. He's trying to hit that one way over the fence. 2 balls, 2 strikes home to Robert RJ Rodriguez. Cannot blame Douglas for not reaching out to us. We didn't get the schedule released in time, so that's on us. Big slider is going to be ripped, but just foul. That's 350 to left, 375 to right, and 380 to center. A big ballpark in Douglas, Arizona. But if you get one right back up the middle center field, that is not too far away. So we'll do this 2 balls, 2 strikes again, bottom of the 3rd inning. Ooh, let me get the, my bad, let me get the logos off. This one's going to be ripped back up the middle. That's going to be at least 1 run for the Douglas Bulldogs. And that's going to be 2 runs. As the ball's misplayed in the center field, now we have a 13-0 lead. Douglas on top of Safford. The Battle of the Bulldogs in Douglas, Arizona. Abel Clinch coming up now for the Douglas Bulldogs. Abel just a sophomore. Runners at first and second for Clinch, rather. Thanks again, everybody, for joining me. Of course, you know, anyone that knows me or my co-broadcaster, we love to be overly prepared, and this is just one of those situations. They switched the games up just to make sure the varsity got in, and that was it. So we do have a meeting on the mound for Safford. Looks like everything is good to go. We're going to clinch right back to the batter's box for the Douglas Bulldogs, 13-0, and the bottom of the 3rd inning. Douglas well on their way to righting their ship. We did talk about the Lancer Classic, me and Bruce and I from the Sierra Vista Herald, and he was actually texting Coach Ochoa. Ochoa didn't make any excuses, said we didn't show up. They're showing up here today, 13-0 over the Safford Bulldogs, the Douglas Bulldogs, and the battle of the naming rights. Loser has to change their mascot. That's a joke. Sorry. We'll clinch now. Runners on first and second. First pitch home to him. That one's going to hit him, and he's going to go ahead and take first. So we're going to load the bases up one more time. It's more exciting for every broadcaster. Everyone wants to broadcast a Grand Slam, and we'll see if Miguel Bustamante can't oblige us for that. 13-0. Bottom of the third inning. Safford, nobody out. This game looking like it will be a mercy rule after 5 innings. And I don't know what the 21 rule would be, but the Douglas Bulldogs certainly threatening that right now. First pitch home, that's going to be a strike. 0-1 the count on the outside corner to Bustamante. The 0-1 home. This one catches a lot of the plate. Bustamante sends a high fly ball to left field. It's going to stay in the park, but that's going to be deep enough to score the run. They would have scored it, but kind of a mercy call there, keeping the runner on third base for the Bulldogs. And that's going to bring up Andres Ortiz for the Douglas Bulldogs. First out of the inning. Bustamante trying to get that one out there, but that is a big, big porch to hit to in left field. That would have definitely hit the wall in a lot of other parks. It's 350. For context, I think the average depth of Major League outfields is 320 on left. And this one's going to be ripped too to left field, but that one's going to get foul. Right at the warning track. 0-1 the count. Andres Ortiz, a junior for the Douglas Bulldogs. Talked about the basketball all-star game going on. Trust me, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure baseball gets one. Football would be a little bit tougher. Football is a collision injury sport. This one's going to miss low and away. 1-1 the count. Loving the all blues from the Safford Bulldogs. Just need to get those pants a little less baggy. And Douglas Bulldogs, like they got the stirrups on. That's old school baseball. This one's going to be a shot to third base, and that's going to be a run for the Douglas Bulldogs now, 14-0. Douglas Bulldogs on top of the Safford Bulldogs. And we have a little bit of mercy ruling coming in. I think that's Coach Ochoa down to third base or first base. I can't. Either which way. Third base coach. Trying to do his best to give Cool FM Live something to broadcast. Keeping everyone on the base paths is Ivana Guerrera. Takes on the inside corner, strike one. I think the announcer said Ivan Aguirre, so we're going to stick with Ivan. No balls, one strike. That two-seamer is going to be a little bit too tall. 1-1 the count. If you couldn't tell, it is a beautiful day in Douglas, Arizona. Wind is blowing out to left, and you're going to need every bit of that wind to help it over the fence if you choose to try to hit one out of this park. That's going to be a high fly ball from Ivan Aguirre, left fielder on his horse, and he is not going to get there. That's going to be an RBI. At least one, and base running error from the Douglas Bulldogs. That's just an out. They got him in a pickle for no reason. There's nowhere to go, so they touched third base, and that was it. That's going to be the 15th run of the ball game now for the Douglas Bulldogs, and that's going to bring up Trace Rodriguez. I thought it was 15. Scoreboard operator says 14. Yeah, I was right. Douglas Bulldogs, a team that we love to talk about on our show live Tuesdays. We're going to catch it tomorrow at noon. Don't try to show up at 10 a.m., even though nobody does. I made a high school show and put it on at 10 a.m. when school's up. Then call me a genius, folks. 15-0. Rodriguez now in the batter's box. He's going to take a rip at the first pitch and send that one right back up the middle. And that's going to remain 15-0 as the bases load again. And runner's going to go ahead and come home either which way, as you heard the ire from the Douglas fans. saying mercy is for the weak. Sweep the leg. Andres Hoya is coming back up to the plate. Andres just got his catcher's gear off just in time. But I'll tell you what, Andres Hoya, for the limited time we've been here, this is the second time that he's been up. And it looks like the Douglas Bulldogs might be doing some lineup changes. Runners at first and second for the Bulldogs. This one's going to be high and tight. 1-0 the count. 16-0 in a gorgeous day in Douglas, Arizona. Bulldogs on top of the Bulldogs. This one's going to catch a lot of the plate. That one's going to go into right field. A great play from the right fielder. That's going to be the third out of the inning for the Safford Bulldogs. But 16-0, Douglas carry this lead into the top of the fourth inning. Thank you again, everyone, for joining me on Cool FM Live. Allow me to try to thank our sponsors as many times as I possibly can. Without them, we would not be out here broadcasting all of our Cochise County sports. First, Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative, SSVEC, serving our community. Synergy Home Care, providing non-medical home care all across Cochise and Santa Cruz County. Call them today at 520-685-1035. Yes, that includes Douglas, Arizona. If you are in Safford, Synergy next month is expanding into Graham County. If you're looking for work, show up to the Eastern Arizona Community College Job Fair on the 25th of April. We'll be there. Thank you to the MORSE Automotive Group of Sierra Vista. Stop in today and experience the difference. Cochise County is now backed by Ed Morse. Thank you to the Sherry Ethel team at Long Realty. Proud to support our young athletes all season long. If you're in the market to buy or sell, make your first call to the real estate experts at 717-599-2439. Thank you to BARNETT'S Towing and BARNETT'S Propane, serving our community since 1963. Thank you to the Copper Queen Community Hospital of Cochise County. They have physical therapy departments now in Hereford, Bisbee, and Douglas, providing the highest quality of services to outpatients and home health patients of all ages. Make an appointment with one of their doctors of physical therapy today at 520-432-6435. Thank you to Grasshopper Landscaping, quality from the ground up. Contact Grasshopper for all of your landscaping needs, including pool cleaning services. They serve all of Cochise County. Visit them on Facebook or Google Grasshopper Landscaping. Thank you to Ginger's Titles of Sierra Vista, located at 999 East Tri Boulevard. Look for the iconic pink door. Now open on Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Thank you as well to Allo Fiber, your new home team internet, TV, and phone provider. Visit allofiber.com to learn more about the Allo Fiber difference and to become a fiber fan. And we will get the rest of them in here before too long. That's going to bring up Cole Goodman for the Safford Bulldogs. On the mound for the Douglas Bulldogs, Trace Rodriguez. I'm not so sure if Trace has been pitching all game, but if he is, working on a shutout in this ball game, 16-0 into the top of the first inning. Trace gets his sign, first pitch into Cole. Wicked slider, that's going to catch. 0-1 the count. Oh, I see Dana Pena, who will also be joining us at our Cochise County All-Star game on the 29th. She said anyway. We'll see. These are high school kids, and it's a long drive. That one's going to miss the outside corner. 1-1 the count. Thank you, everyone, for joining me at the Copper King Stadium, Copper Queen in Bisbee. So naturally, the Copper King Stadium here in the smeltering city, Douglas, Arizona. That one's going to be low and away. 2-1 the count. Douglas, Arizona, a place I spent a lot of time in, broadcasting Cochise college games and also expanding Synergy Home Care into Douglas, Arizona. One of my favorite towns in Cochise County for sure. This one's going to catch the outside corner, 2-2 the count. Oh, I can hear the first name, so Cole against Thrace. The 2-2 home. Hesitation, leg kick, gets him on the slider. Good strikeout there from Trace Rodriguez, and that's our first out of the inning. Houston Vallejo's coming up now for the Safford Bulldogs. And it looks like Trace Rodriguez might be done for the day. 22 for 14. I heard that one. That's going to be Martin Siberian. There we go. Attaboy, Paul. English is a tough language, especially when it's your only language. Great outing from Trace. As he gets an ovation here from the crowd in Douglas, Arizona. And Martin Siberian coming up now for the Douglas Bulldogs, and he's going to go ahead and get warmed up. And while he does that, I'm going to thank some more people that allow us to travel all across Cochise County and broadcast live free of charge on Cool FM Live. First, Right Way. Uh-oh. Messed that one up. I'm doing this on a phone. If you misclick something, that's it for you. Right Way is now serving Sierra Vista and Cochise County, providing heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. We will be working hard to earn your trust the right way. We are happy to support our local athletic sports broadcast, in this case, the Battle of the Bulldogs, Safford against Douglas. Thank you to SoCi. Every play, every pass, every goal, every run this season, we're with you every step of the way. At SoCi, we believe in rising to the occasion. When the pressure's on, we say, challenge accepted. Join us in backing the Douglas Bulldogs, because together we're unstoppable. Learn more at SoCi.com, SOSI.com. Thank you as well to American Southwest Credit Union. Tonight's game is sponsored by American Southwest, serving Southern Arizona, all of Southern Arizona. That does mean Douglas. I've seen it here. That means Benton and, of course, Sierra Vista. If you live, work, or worship here, you may be eligible to join. Experience better rates and personalized service at ASCU.org. Join the credit union that supports your community. Federally insured by the NCUA and an equal opportunity lender. Don't hesitate to jump into this chat, folks. Let me know where you're cheering from and who you're cheering for. And if you are cheering for Safford, apologies that I do not have a Safford roster on me. Generally go off the lineup cards, but today that was not going to happen. So, Siberian. Martin Siberian. Or it's Martin. Maybe the PA announcer will announce it here in a second. One away in the top of the fourth inning. That's going to be a two-seamer. That's going to be too high. And the high fastball is difficult to lay off, impossible to catch up to. 0-1 the count. The 0-1. This one's just going to miss at the knees. 1-1 the count.
22, Martin Siberian.
Siberian. All right, cool. 1-1 home. This one's going to be in the dirt. 1-2 now. Siberian gets his sign. The two-seamer again. He loves throwing that two-seam fastball. That one's going to be fouled away to the Douglas Bulldog track/football field. If we ever did a Cochise County football game, it might be here in Douglas, Arizona. For All-Stars. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Siberian. This one's going to be ripped into right field, and that's way back. That's going to get down at the wall. Hits the wall, and that's going to be a double for the Safford Bulldogs. First base run. I think it's Jaron, what they're saying. Great job there from Jaron. Damian Nunez now coming up for the Safford Bulldogs. So Martin was throwing that two-seamer off the inside corner, and Jared did a great job just turning on that one, and that ball would have been out of a lot of ballparks, but like I said, 375 to right field. That's most power alleys, left center, right center, in major league ballparks. First pitch in, that's going to be too tall, but swung on and missed. 0-1 the count. Sebron gets his pitch. That two-seamer's going to run in on the hands. 0-2. Just cannot catch up to it right now. Nobody in the chat. Come on, Douglas fans. We want to come back out here. That one's going to be a 3-pitch strikeout. Sebron bounces back after that big double and gets the strikeout. Osvaldo Estrada now for the Safford Bulldogs. Coming up to the plate, Martin Siberian. trying to preserve that shutout for the Douglas Bulldogs. First pitch in. Two-seamer's going to run right back in and be chopped foul. 0-1 the count. We'll see what other pitches, if any, Martin can throw at the Safford Bulldogs. He's been relying on that two-seamer, which is a great pitch to have. Throw it fast and have some wicked movement on it. There it is again. That one's going to be fouled right back at us. 0-2 the count. All right, no balls, 2 strikes. My audio check is done. And that one's going to run inside, just getting out of the way. 1-2 the count now. And I agree with the Safford fans. Just need to eat that one. Base runners any way possible. You're down 16-0. If you think this game's over, you're sadly mistaken. 2-out rally of 15 runs. My team's biggest comeback, and that one's going to be a wicked, wicked pitch in the dirt. And that's going to be the 3rd out of the inning. A base runner stranded on second base for the Safford Bulldogs. And we go into the bottom of the 4th inning. Douglas Bulldogs on top 16-0 and looking to add to that. This most likely will be the final at-bat for the Douglas Bulldogs. And that's why they're playing Take Me Out to the Ball Game right now. Always got to be a little cognizant of the copyrighted music, so I can't let you guys listen to that completely. But let me go ahead and try to pile in as many sponsors as we can. Remember that we are only allowed to travel all across Cochise County and broadcast live free of charge on Cool FM Live thanks to these amazing businesses. English is a tough language. If you can't tell, I'm listening to the song. It's my favorite song of all time. First, thank you to Synergy Home Care, providing non-medical home care all across Cochise, Santa Cruz, and soon-to-be Graham County. That's right, for everyone watching in Safford, Arizona. Next month, Synergy starts its expansion into Graham County. Call them today at 520-685-1035. Strictly non-medical home care. Thank you to SSVEC, serving our community. Thank you to the MORSE Automotive Group of Sierra Vista. You can drive in today and experience the difference for yourself at Morse, because Cochise County is now backed by the Morse Automotive Group. Thank you to the Sherry Ethel team along Realty, proud to support our young athletes all season long. If you're in the market to buy or sell, make your first call to the real estate experts at 717-599-2439. Thank you to BARNETT'S Towing and BARNETT'S Propane, serving our community since 1963. Thank you to the Copper Queen Community Hospital of Cochise County. They have physical therapy departments at Bisbee, Hereford, and Douglas, providing the highest quality of services to outpatients and home health patients of all ages. Call them today at 520-432-6435.
Bulldog number 6, Chris Escarcega.
Hey, the freshman Chris Escarcega back up to the plate now for the Douglas Bulldogs. Says freshman. He is not built like a freshman. 5'10", 190 pounds. Almost 200 pounds coming out of 8th grade. This kid's got himself a future in athletics. I am scared to see what he's going to be as a senior. 6'7", 300 pounds. Chris is going to hit a high fly ball to left field. It's a deep one out there in left, and that's going to stay just in. That's going to be the first out of the inning. That would be out of many a ballpark, just not here in Douglas, Arizona. 350 to left, 375 to right. Rafael Bozanye now up for the Douglas Bulldogs. Lefty. 375 to right. That's 25 more feet from left to right. That is a ways away to hit a home run. We'll see if he can do it. This will be the second pitch of the inning. This one's going to be in the dirt. 1-0 the count. Lasagna. Set. This one's going to be ripped to first base, and that's going to get by. So that's going to be a single for the Douglas Bulldogs. A 1-out single as they continue this offensive onslaught in the Battle of the Bulldogs. And here comes Robert R.J. Rodriguez one more time for the Douglas Bulldogs. See what RJ can do. Good news is for the Douglas Bulldogs, their offensive output's been second to none here today. So they've gotten a lot of at-bats. This one's going to be outside, 1-0 the count. What a beautiful day it is in Douglas, Arizona. It's a shame that we're not going to be able to watch the game under the lights. If you are just joining me, the games were switched around. This is the varsity game going off, and the JV game will go off at 6 o'clock because they are unsure if the lights are going to work or not. Rodriguez sends this one to third. That could be a double play opportunity, but it eats him up at third. The throw down not going to be in time. That's going to be the second base runner of the inning for the Douglas Bulldogs.
Number 11, Diego Duarte.
And Diego Duarte, the left-handed hitting Diego Duarte up now for the Douglas Bulldogs. No batting gloves. Respect it. You don't have batting gloves, you better barrel that ball up. That's big. That's Vladdy Guerrero style. That's big confidence from Diego Duarte. You hit those ones off the hands, and it's basically done for your hands. This one's going to be flared out in between short and third, and he couldn't have placed that ball any better. Bases are going to load up now for the Douglas Bulldogs. Only one away here in the bottom of the fourth inning. And that brings up Isidro Hoyas, the sophomore for the Douglas Bulldogs. Douglas did lose a little bit of senior contingency last year. Have a lot of players, juniors and below. This one's going to be swung on a missed in the dirt. 0-1 the count. Still no comments in the chats. Look, folks, I'm sorry we went late. I know everyone thought the game was at 6, but it's at 4. That one's going to be swung on foul tipped ahead of that changeup. 0-2 the count. No, I should have left it 2. I was going to leave super early just so I could eat down here in Douglas. Looks like I'll be able to do that after we get off. Elberon. This one's going to be flared into right center field. That's going to get down. A great piece of hitting from Hoyas. 2-strike hitting makes it a 17-0 ball game. Douglas Bulldogs still showing their offensive prowess. That's going to bring up Andres Ortiz for the Douglas Bulldogs, up 16-0. And the bottom of the fourth inning, bases still loaded at Copper King Stadium in Douglas, Arizona. I think it's Copper King Stadium. I read it once on the internet, so it has to be true, right? Jose Avinaguera coming up next for the Douglas Bulldogs. Recently named best all-around athlete in the state of Arizona. But first pitch in to Ortiz is going to be a high fly ball to right field. That one will be corralled by Safford. So 2 away for Jose Avinaguera. Also quarterback for the Douglas Bulldogs. Not a basketball player, otherwise he'd probably be joining us on the 29th in Benson, Arizona as well. Last year, talking to Coach Ochoa and basically everyone around Douglas Bulldogs, freshman Ivan Aguera, or is he a junior now? He's a junior now. Yeah. 2 years ago, as a freshman, they told us Ivan Aguera is the best shortstop in Arizona. Defensively, might not be wrong. We did that one's too tall. We did our preseason baseball preview with Coach Todd Hammett from the Bisbee Pumas, and he will be joining us tomorrow as well at noon. And he said that kid, Ivan Aguera, is probably one of the best defensive shortstops he's ever seen. This one is going to be through the Safford defense, and that's going to be 18-0 now. Douglas Bulldogs on top, still 2 away in the bottom of the fourth inning. Martin Cebrian, the pitcher now for the Douglas Bulldogs. Big boy, let's see if he's got some big power. And that's what it requires to get out of this Copper King Stadium in Douglas, Arizona. That one's going to be too tall, 1-0 the count. Andres Hoyas for the Douglas Bulldogs. Catcher on deck. I can tell because he's got his gear on. This one's going to be outside. Oh, it's going to catch the outside corner. Mercy call. 1-1 the count. You got to be careful if you're blue on that one because Cebrian is a pitcher, and that could get him furious if he doesn't get that same call. 1 ball, 1 strike. This one's going to be ripped down to third. It stays fair, and a great play over there by the Bulldogs to get out of the inning. A few more runs added by the Douglas Bulldogs. Now 18-0 18-0 as we go into the top of the 5th and what will most likely be the last half inning of this ball game. If you are just joining us on Cool FM Live, folks, first of all, jump into my chat. Let me know where you're cheering from and who you're cheering for. Secondly, the varsity game did go off early, so if you're trying to tune in 8 minutes to watch the Douglas Bulldogs varsity, that will be the JV game. They wanted to get this game underway just to make sure they could get the game in before the sun went down because obviously because Cool FM was coming down, something wrong had to happen, so they had trouble with the lights. A rain out now. A late broadcast for the Douglas Bulldogs. I say it all. The only thing that goes right when we're in Douglas is Lady Bulldog basketball, for sure. Ooh, Bulldogs are going to have a new pitcher, and that's going to be the freshman, Christopher Skarsiga. Super excited to watch him pitch as well. Christopher, just a freshman, built like a dang senior. Great song choice. He's got pop. This kid's ooh. What I said about Douglas, if Douglas could get overpowering pitchers, they'd win a state title here. And Skarsiga looks like he might be that, as we do have a comment in the chat. Lorraine M. Hortata in the chat says, let's go Bulldogs. No doubt related to Justin and Jason Hortado, all COCHISE football players. If only we could get an all-star game going for football, that's my dream. Unfortunately, collision sports such as football, those are dangerous. Those are where insurances have to be in play. Thank you so much for the comment, Lorraine. Speaking of thank you, I'd like to thank Barnett's Towing and Barnett's Propane, serving our community since 1963. Also, Grasshopper Landscaping, quality from the ground up. Contact Grasshopper for all your landscaping needs, including pool cleaning. Visit them on Facebook or Google Grasshopper Landscaping. A lot of people did seek out this stream already, so I was super appreciative of that. But unfortunate not to get the first couple of innings for the Douglas Bulldogs. I got here and they were up 10-0 in the second inning. So Skarsiga, his first hitter faced is going to be a strike on the outside corner. 0-1 the count. 18-0 the Douglas Bulldogs on top of the Safford Bulldogs. Ian at the plate for Safford. That's what I hear from the dugout. This one's going to be high and outside. 1-1 the count. Ian smaller in stature, and for pitchers, a little bit more tricky to pitch to those. The strike zone shrinks just a little bit. 1 ball, 1 strike. That one's going to be over the letters and swung on and missed. 1-2 the count. Scoreboard doesn't have it. Don't worry, scoreboard operator, I got you. First hitter in the top of the 5th, Ian against Christopher Skarsiga. Fabulous freshman from the Douglas Bulldogs. Just misses the outside corner. Good job there from Blue. Andres Way is set up way outside. Skarsiga hit the glove, but he was set up a foot outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. This one's going to be outside as well. 3-2 the count. So Skarsiga, as you would expect, a big, powerful freshman to have a little bit of control issues in the early going. But as long as you have the fastball. This one is going to be swung on a miss for strike 3 in the first out. Skarsiga coming in. 1 batter, 1 strikeout. And Aiden coming up now for the Safford Bulldogs. Nothing we could do about the late broadcast, folks. Of course, that means I don't have the lineup cards in front of me or anything like that. JV and varsity switched game times because the lights weren't working because Cool FM scheduled this game. That one's going to be on the inside corner, 0-1 the count. I say it all the time. It's kind of a new way of thinking, especially for golf, is just swing hard and try to develop the control off of the speed you have. And I think that's what I'm most excited seeing Skarsiga throw on the mound now for the Douglas Bulldogs. Not only his efficiencies, he's not letting me get stories out, but he's got the fastball. He's got the velocity already. Now you develop control behind it. It's easier to do that than to have control and try to rev up. That's when you start throwing balls in the dirt like I do all the time. 2 balls, 1 strike. That one's going to be shot in between first and second base. That's going to get in right field. So a base runner, Aiden for the Safford Bulldogs. So we do have another comment in the chat. Hansa Martinez says, no broadcast for Bisbee today. No. Bisbee and Tombstone will be our game of the week Thursday in Tombstone, Arizona. Get ready for that one. Tomorrow I'll be broadcasting Buena hosting Cienega. Of course, that great timing on that video came out of the basketball scene that happened at Buena High School. As that pitch is going to be on the outside corner, 0-1 the count. Nothing Wednesday, and maybe something Friday, but also Friday, we've got Thunder Mountain Wrestling from Fort Huachuca. Stick around for that one, folks. That one's going to run inside now. Runners at first and second for the Safford Bulldog. They only need 9 runs. Well, I didn't mean to sound like that, but they only need 9 runs. They don't have to get all the 18 is what I was trying to say to extend this game. If they can get 9 runs across in the top of the 5th inning, this game will extend, which is just terrific for me because I would like to broadcast more than an inning and a half. Of course, Dave Davies broadcasted earlier the Valley Union Blue Devils and the Benson Bobcats. Valley Union went down quickly, 8-0, and it was that same scoreline as they were headed into the bottom of the 5th inning by the time I got out here to Douglas. That one's going to be in the dirt, 1-0 the count. But we try to be everywhere, folks. Just can't happen all the time. 1 ball, no strikes. Escarcega, good breaking ball. This one's going to be lifted. There's room over there at third base. Can they get to it? No. Probably the better choice there not to go face first in that fence in a game that is 18-0 by R.J. Rodriguez. I'm sure if that was Buena, he'd make that jump. Speaking of, why did Douglas and Buena stop scheduling their basketball and baseball games? I can understand football. Buena's just a powerhouse of 5A football, but I always worked my schedule around Douglas versus Buena. Oh, well. All's well that ends well, I suppose. 1 ball, 1 strike now. Escarcega on the mound. Loses control of that one, 2-1 the count. It's just something he's going to have to develop as a high school pitcher. A little bit of control. But again, as long as you have the velocity, it's easier to teach control than it is power. It's a new way of thinking for a lot of athletic coaches across all sports. This one will be chopped down to first. That's going to get through. Safford going to hold the runner at first. Now base is loaded. And we have ourselves some interesting developments in Douglas, Arizona at the Copper King Stadium. Andrew Trujillo coming up now for the Safford Bulldogs. Trujillo sounds familiar. That's the Benson Bobcat head coach. First pitch to Trujillo is going to be in the dirt. 1-0 the count. Escarcega in a little bit of trouble. 1 grand slam, load him up again, another grand slam, and we're extending this ball game, folks. Ooh, Trujillo takes that one high and tight, 2-0 the count. Are we sure this kid's a freshman? Facial hair, is he a freshman like they had in, what's that dang movie? The Adam Sandler movie, Benchwarmers. That one's going to miss. No strike at the knees. 3-0 now the count. Escarcega just got to keep reaching back and throwing. Don't try to place this ball. That's when you start getting into more and more trouble. That one catches the outside corner. 3-1 now the count. This one's going to be a high fly ball. Can Ortiz get to it? No, he cannot. As that one does hit the bleachers in Douglas, Arizona. Now a full count. Good job here from Escarcega, the freshman, battling all the way back and getting this count back to full. 18-0 Douglas Bulldogs on top of the Safford Bulldogs. The full count. This one's going to be in the dirt, and that's going to be the first run of the ball game for the Safford Bulldogs. And the applause come from the home fans. 18-1 now your score in Copper King Stadium. Here comes Cole back up to the plate for Safford. Escarcega looking for that ground ball, either to come back home or get it back up to the middle where Jose Avinaguera and company can turn that double play. Good pitch. Does catch the inside corner, but just barely 0-1 the count. A lot of let's go, Chris chance coming from the Douglas supporter. That's going to catch the outside corner. 0-2 to Cole. Cole not happy about that one. Got a gripe on the first one. That one definitely caught the outside corner. 1 away. Top of the 5th inning. Breaking ball. Not fooled on that at all. Turned on it. That ball was going to be a ball, but Cole says, not getting that one behind me. Ripped it, but just to the batter's box at Copper King Stadium. Foul. 0-2 again. The 0-2 home again. This one's going to be shot right back up the middle. That should be a double play. 4, 6, 3, and the Douglas Bulldogs get out of the inning. And I'm waiting to see what Blue says. That should be the ball game. Looks like we're going to keep going.
That's the ball game.
Just kidding. That's the ball game. So the Douglas Bulldogs win this one 18-1 over the Safford Bulldogs. And there is that potent Douglas defense, that 4-6-3 double play. Could not think of a better way to end this ball game. Thank you, everyone, for joining me on Cool FM Live. Don't forget to like this page, the Cool FM Live Sports page. Subscribe to the Cool FM Live YouTube page, where I promise we will be broadcasting our varsity sports on time. From here on out, we will definitely call up and make sure that we get the game times correct. And if you are, I do have to remind everybody, this was just a one-time thing where Douglas happened to have to play the JV game last. Anyway, thank you, everyone, for joining me, Paul Quarter, on Cool FM Live. Stick around tomorrow. We have Buena and Cienega. We have our Game of the Week Thursday, Tombstone versus Bisbee. Then we have Thunder Mountain Wrestling. And Saturday, 5:30 and 7 p.m., we have our Cochise County All-Star Basketball game in Benson, Arizona. Take care.